Alright, how's it going here, guys? Trichoblast here. Gonna be playing some 1-2 on Ignition. We have 2 regular tables and 2 zone tables. I'm a fucking poker god slash genius, and I'm gonna show you how to win lots of money online. I will talk about any serious situations I go over, and you are going to learn how to print free money. So I got the king here. That's a good one pair. And just not gonna fold, because fuck this guy. Oh, it's a big bet. I like free money, buddy. And let's see if he wants to give me any more free money. He checks. I don't think I'm getting value out of much worse, so just going to check it back. And yeah, he gives up with 9 high, so well played by him. We're always going to reload because we want to be as deep as possible. When you're playing against absolute mouth breathers, you want to be able to gain the most amount of money when they make a horrible mistake. Got the pocket kings here. Well, we're kind of scared because they could have aces, but, he limped, so he probably has aces. If he re-raises me, I'll just fold, because, nobody limp raises without aces. And, yeah, I'm on a pretty short bankroll here. My backer won't like it if I go bust. They all call. Well, they could have sets of everything pretty much, so I'm just going to give up. Just fucking kidding. We're going to put more money in the middle. I do have the kings. Flop a flush here. That's pretty good, but they could have a higher flush, so gonna bet. And this guy leads out and jams 2x pots, so I'm gonna fold. And I have the nuts here, so just gonna bet. And he calls me with who the fuck knows what. But I don't really care, because I got his money. Pretty much not folding here. It's decent river, but if he bets, it's kind of scary because he can have all the overpairs. Yes, this is serious advice. I'm not joking. I could really be beat here if he bets big. Okay, and he makes it obvious that I'm beat. So it's pretty nice of him. I'm gonna try to keep the video serious now. Alright. This board favors him, but I have 2 overcards and I got shot to the nuts, so I'd like to exercise any fold equity I actually have. I get min raised, essentially, so I'm just gonna call with outs to the nuts, and that's a really scary card for him. If he checks, not sure what I'm going to do. I'm probably not going to be facing many checks here. When he raises me on a dry board, he's always going to barrel, and I will have to give it up. But if he checks, I will have to I guess I have to bet now. It sucks because he can have a lot of aces, but he can also have a lot of give-ups. Versus a certain opponent, this bet will actually get folds, not a lot of the time, but versus sane range, could be okay. Well, now I'm going to hope that he has queen 10 and we win. I have too much showdown value, not turning a queen into a bluff, so hopefully it doesn't have an ace. And he check raised me on the flop with ace 9. Then check called the turn, so might be this guy's first day playing poker, which is great. And I pretty much always turn this hand into a squeeze hand. Don't really like calling with it. 25 is probably okay. You could probably go bigger too, but I think that's fine. And getting called, just going to give up 3 ways. No reason to fire a bluff on this board. Their continuing range here should be pretty strong. And yeah, does favor me, but I'm just going to fold to any bet. think a common mistake people make is to raise this like this under the gun. They will flat call. With this price, I will call, but if it was just the open here and these two people folded, I would have went ahead and folded as well. Flop a set. Now they just need to give me their money. I should have actually called that. I thought that I was in the small. Was not paying attention. When you play poker, you're going to want to pay attention because, you know, the things you do, like, you know, matter. So just remember that. That's advice I would never normally give out for free, but feeling nice today. Gonna get bet pretty big to multiple people. Another draw got created on the board. Doesn't seem like anyone has much of anything, but if they did pick up turn equity, they're probably not going to fold and have a very strong hand. So, yeah. Just going to hope someone doesn't have 7-8. And by the flat call, it looks like I have the nuts so far. If this guy raises, it'll be very sad, but I'll have to call. When the flush completes and the board pairs as well, I'm actually going to be really greedy and exploitatively shove. I think no one's going to fold the flush at these stakes. This is super exploitative. Nobody would ever teach you this normally. But yeah, I think no one's capable of folding a flush here. And hopefully someone pays me so I look like a genius. But okay, good. I get to look like an absolute genius, which is nice since I'm making a video. But yeah, their calling range there on the turn is going to have a lot of club draw type hands. And when they get there multi-way, I'm just going to literally say, I know you have a flush, 2x overbet pot, and hope that they are not good enough to fold, because I would never be doing that with a worse value hand like a flush. I would never 2x over pot shove. My bet's very polarizing to bluffs or the nuts, and I'm not sure that I would ever be 2x overbet bluffing into two other people on the river when a obvious draw gets completed. So I'd say I have about 0 bluffs for that sizing in that specific situation. But these people don't know that. When he checks, I'm just going to bet twice on pretty much any run out. If he wants to call me down with a queen, very happy for him, but it's about the best possible hand he can have in that spot. This is actually kind of a loose 3-bet, but from the small blind, I'm never really calling. So if I get 4-bet, I will go from there, but I think it's a mandatory 3-bet with most of my hands there. Under the gun range is very, very tight, though, and you do want to be careful of that. Okay. I think I'll flat this sometimes, and I'll 3-bet this sometimes. I think to a min raise button open, it's pretty mandatory that I just 3-bet. I'm going to take it down a lot of the time. And here I'm not really calling in the small blind, so mandatory 3-bet. Decent flop for my hand, more for my range than my actual hand, but this is going to end up me barreling on a lot of turns, trying to get him to fold, you know, 8s, 9s, stuff like that, and he can just fold a lot on the flop as well. Had great backdoor equity. That would have been a card that I barreled as well on the jack. I think this is a mandatory give up. Board's really good for him, and I don't block much. Only have backdoor equity. When he checks twice, I feel like I kind of have to go for it now. Okay, well, could jam, but oh. Well, as you can see there, we had a bit of a misclick. That was gonna be a bet. That guy probably is questioning why on earth that just happened, but then again, he called the turn with 8th pair, so probably not the best player. I've had many misclicks on Bovada recently, as well as shoving all in accidentally pre-flop, and that's a really bad river. Hopefully he just gives up with some sort of 6x. He overbets the pot, and that's the worst river of all time, so just going to give it up. Alright, hopefully I won't have any more misclicks, but it doesn't really take away from the video, seeing as the information is still there, and everyone here that's watching is well aware I should be betting that river, as I have the nuts. Kind of a loose open, but not really in the cutoff. I think it's fine. Defending in position with the 8s. Pretty good flop. Won't get too sticky, but it's a good flop. Not going to be folding the flop for really any size. When he checks to me, it's just an easy bet. He's going to be having a lot of ace highs here, king highs, a lot of like ace 5 suited, ace 4 suited, and if I get raised, he's putting his hand pretty face up. Horrible turn card. Ace king gets there, and with queen 8, I'm actually just going to fold flop. My hand plays really well, or really poorly on this kind of board, and amazing fucking river. Now I can actually jam over his bet, which is amazing because he's going to have a lot of ace king, and he's really going to check kings on the flop. So I should have pretty much the nuts. It's just literally an amazing fucking river. And I'm not sure if he's even going to be able to fold ace king because I rep pretty much nothing credible. So even if he had a trapped aces, okay, so he just had a bluff, but not sure why he'd play his hand like that. Unless he was good enough to fold ace king, but it seems quite unlikely. Not going to bluff with king 10, just going to give up. This is better for my range, but there's just no sense in bluffing that specific hand. Good backdoors this hand, but 4 ways. Flop is horrible for my range and horrible for my hand, so just going to give up. To a bet. Gonna fold. Even my gut shot outs could be dirty, and it's just too multi-way to do anything about. I think I'm folding deuces through 4s here. Gonna flat the 5s though. There's also incentive for the big blind to complete, and then when I flop a set, I am going to be more multi-way, which is obviously great. Gonna check fold now in a tougher lineup in a non 1-2 setting. Say I'm playing, 5-10 plus with decent regulars. That's just gonna be a fold. Fold pre, obviously. Just gonna complete. Could squeeze, but hand plays really well post flop, so I don't think there's any reason to turn it into a squeeze hand when it's a very middle of the range type hand that plays well post. This is just like a really, really shitty spot. With 2 overs and a flush draw, it's close. I think I'm just going to fold to a pot size bet, but a smaller bet I would definitely be calling. Ace 10 even in position, just an easy fold. Ace 10 offsuit. Would be defending my suited hands for sure. That's how I'll distinguish which ones I defend. Tens with an early position raise. I think a 3 bet's in order. 3 bets me really big. I mean, it's completely opponent dependent, but that makes me think that he has a decent hand. I don't think he would use this sizing in position with a bad hand. I mean, yes, obviously he could have aces, but he's probably doing that with top of his range. Ugh, facing a 4 bet, not great. I have to call. deep with this guy, and a flop top set. So I think the tens is an interesting hand because if I was less than 100 big blinds effective with him, I think a fold is actually pretty standard. But being deeper with the guy, it's a pretty easy peel. Obviously, he can have, worse non-paired hands, plus I can just boat up and then usually get stacks when he has an overpair. He just rips it into me with probably aces. Okay. Did not have the right read on the situation there, clearly. Too good of a price to fold, even with a hand as mediocre as King 9. Offsuit. Gonna just be completing a lot in the big blind with a variety of hands. King 9, I think King 8 I might fold as it has even less playability. Gonna be completing with a lot more like suited type, slightly connected hands more often than like a King 9 offsuit type variety though. It's interesting how that hand where I was 4-bet and blasted off to would be quite noteworthy for the future. Range-wise, that would make tens, possibly a 5-bet. I'm probably just defending against 4-bets with it anyway, but against that guy, it could definitely shape my range in a certain way. But on a completely anonymous site where you cannot take notes, that will never come into play, which is good and bad, I suppose, for the games. Just going to complete with nines in the big blind and call at least one street. And I think I'm just going to end up defending against this ace-jack min-click. I don't see any reason to re-squeeze. My hand's really not that good. It's some bottom of my range kind of for under the gun, but price is just too good to not take a flop, and never defending with king-jack offsuit, even in position. Hand plays too poorly post-flop. Gonna defend king 9 offsuit and check fold. With a diamond, obviously, we would peel once. But yeah, gotta fold. Facing this bet, if he calls, I'm very tempted to just fold, but I'm gonna probably just rip. He can have worse hands that call off, as well as draws. Draws are unlikely, but I'm never folding, so I might as well charge his hands that are looking to continue, that have some sort of draw type equity. Going to check give up this on this flop. I guess he just has something much worse, so we might even just get a fold, but I highly doubt he's blasting off on many turns, and it's going to be very hard for me to play on a lot of turns as well. Hopefully he just calls with like tens or something, but it seems unlikely. And we're completely fine with just taking the pot down now anyway, which is fine. This guy just rips into us when we have ace king, so pretty easy decision there. 5. And we do not get there, but very easy decision. I feel like I've completed in the big blind with king 9 offsuit 15 times today. Just gonna fold any bet. Still, same thing. Completing with a suited ace in the big blind, checking on that flop. Great for my range, but just, okay, well. When I get 1,000,000 to 1, I'm not going to fold. He can have worse hands. Not going to bluff. I actually do have showdown against a lot of weird hands. He's a better ace high, so he did make an extra $2 from me. Two good zoom hands to play. And that's really great stuff. When you open the button with kings and get 3-bet. out of position, I really don't need to make this that big. I think 60 is fine, completely fine playing post flop in position, and to a jam, obviously, I am folding, even from a short stack. This is a pretty bad flop, but range-wise, when he 3-bets, ranges are very polar here. I'm always going to be sizing down, regardless of board, but it's not a great, it would normally not be a great board for us, but it's fine with how ranges polar should be in this specific situation, so I'm fine to just bet and get it in if he wants to jam, or bet on a lot of turns. I think bad turns are like 9s, 10s, stuff like that. Aces are kind of, I'm still going to jam. I think like there's not a lot of aces as there are more pair of 9s, 10s, jacks, maybe even queens. If he has a weird hand with an ace, so be it. But I think that I get less money from bluffs on the river than I do shoving it in now and, getting money from whatever equity he has. I think he just ended up actually having a hand like 9s, 10s, queens, jacks. It's really going to be hard for him to have a lot of aces there. It's such a polar situation that aces are very unlikely, and by checking back and giving him free rivers, I'm not inducing any bluffs because I'm never folding with that stack to pot anyway. So that's a very specific hand that I think a lot of people can learn from. A lot of people would probably be like, oh, the ace, it's so bad, but yes, we're not getting called a lot there, but with his hands that are tempted to call, we do want to put it in then because he's going to be unlikely to turn any hands into bluffs on the river. 3-betting the king-queen offsuit. This is probably a fold, but for the sake of the video, I'm going to play more hands. Really bad board for us. I could actually just consider giving this up, but we want to put his ace highs in a weird spot on the flop. Probably just giving this up. This actually could have been a check fold, and I think that might be best. Now that we picked up a queen, I'm going to go 3 streets for value and charge his draws as well. More than likely, he just had an ace high hand anyway. I think facing a 3-bet there's no reason to cold 4-bet bluff that. I can have better hands with better blockers. I should have 3-bet this. I'm just autopiloting. I'm not sure why I didn't. With the backdoors, I'm going to call once. Decent turn. I don't think it really changes much. We were either, well, it does kind of change something. We do beat some of his range now. Hopefully he gives up on the river. We're not really beating much. I'm actually just going to fold this versus a short stack. Good, we should win. Chop. Not sure why he didn't bet that river. I guess I can have some kings, but I think a small bet's in order. Maybe a bet fold would be fine. It is hard for him to get value from much, though, so I do understand it would have been quite thin. Gonna defend this, connected enough. Gonna call once, and this is close. I think this is quite loose, but for video's sake, why not? Gonna c-bet this. Backdoor diamonds, could be getting value from worse hands. I think the turn should always go check, check, and then I will decide on the river if I'd like to call. We did counterfeit some pairs he has, but he can still have a lot of better hands as well. Yeah, just check down and take our showdown. Hopefully he doesn't have like 7s that he's scared of value betting. And he did river a pair, but it was no good. Okay, amazing flop. Gonna size up due to the draw heavy nature and that this guy's could be a station based on the fact that he's playing with 100, or sorry, that he's playing with less than 100 blinds, about 60. Not sure how much longer I'll play, but first time making a video, just wanted to see how it went, and yeah, just some informational stuff for people playing lower stakes online. Just gonna fold this, either fold or 3-bet, but to an early position open, like folding. Zoom is a little bit more straight up, I feel like, too. People aren't really getting out of line. I'm aware you guys saw that 7-9 suited hand, so that would obviously make you think otherwise, but for the most part, Zoom is going to be a bit more straight up between decent regulars. This is actually the highest stake running right now for Zoom, so most regulars will probably be in this pool. I've played quite a bit of 2-5 Zoom on this site as well, and it is noticeably a little bit more difficult, but when 2-5 isn't running, the 2-5 Zoom regs would more than likely be playing this stake. So I have found the regular tables to be a bit easier on this site. Just checking some other games right now. Gonna hop into a few. Oops. If I have any spots. Actually, I'm not sure how to put OBS on the other screen, so never mind. I did just flop a straight and a 2-4 hand on the other table that I wish I could show, but not really a big deal. When he bets the size, I'm just going to rip it. I think there is value in calling when you're deeper with someone, but I doubt he's getting out of line or bluffing any turns, and we don't want any scare cards to come off where he's like, oh my god, what do I do? Yeah, he's gonna usually have a hand like that, and we're gonna get the money in. Okay, pretty easy fold here. Not going to turn it into a bluff multi-way. Even with a reasonable blocker, it's not that big of a deal. I think mandatory call once here. Not going to get too sticky with it though. Okay, when that guy calls behind, I'm just simply done with it anyway. Obviously that guy could have draws, but if this guy continues, that will look very strong once two people have already called and there is an overpair on the board. So I think it's a pretty good check and give up for the rest of the hand. We could still have the best hand some percentage, maybe like making this up at like 15% of the time when it checks down, but never a call down here when he leads out. I'm not even going to complete. Did just stack someone on my other table. Okay, I'll have to figure that out for next video if I want to show both monitors. Because I am playing other tables as well. But I don't want to drag it over these tables. But it was an interesting hand, so it could be worth looking into if I do make other videos. Not really sure much of the incentive. This is mainly just to help people for free, so not sure who's even going to see this. But, yep. Hopefully I'm not missing hands. Okay. Whole lot of folding. To a min raise, just gonna fold. I think this could go either way. I think a fold's fine. I probably would 3-bet some percentage. Under the gun ranges are very tight though. Sorry if you guys heard that. Okay. Amazing flop. Going to be sizing down on this texture with any holding. I think I like checking. His range should be pretty weak here. I'm not sure how I'm ever going to get 3 streets on this board. Not a great run out. Not only that we're beat by some things, but he doesn't feel as comfortable with some things, which is unfortunate. I think I'm going to have to go for a small bet. Okay, I was pretty sure I clicked in time. I'm going to lose value there because I'm playing a bunch of other tables on the other monitor. It's unfortunate. Obviously that was a bet, and I was trying to target a weak range that he had there. And I'm not playing. Okay. I think I might have to end this soon, as I am playing a bunch of other tables. Maybe this ended up working out for the best in this hand, and I did trap him into bluffing, but I think this is a good video to prove how much EV can be lost when you are doing too many things at once. What table was that on? Was it here? Curious as to what he had. Being results oriented to see if I accidentally made the max. And I did actually end up getting the max. Accidentally though, so doesn't really count. Alright, gonna try to stop timing out now. Okay. Defending the Queen 8 offsuit to a min raise. Going to be targeting a lot of his single spade and overcard type holdings, and then probably check calling some kind of river bet. And he just gives up with that specific holding. When he checks flop, he really shows that he's narrowing his range, and a lot of his calling hands are going to be much worse than the hand I had, as well as I'm charging for draws. I think here this is a fine 3-bet bluff. I probably prefer the suited version. This is probably actually a bit loose, but whatever. C betting with extreme range advantage. Board doesn't really do anything for anyone. Pretty good turn. I think I could check back. He has a lot of like 8s, 9s, hands like that. I'm not going to get through streets from anyway. Then I have an easy bet on the river. Targeting a very weak range here. Going to go a little less than half pot. And hopefully get a call from like 9s, 10s, stuff like that. He does fold, so I was right in my assumption that his range is quite weak on that king turn. I thought my best bet at 2 streets would be checking turn, betting river. He does end up getting away from his hand, as he probably would have on the turn anyway. Could have just had an ace-high type holding or something like that, which would be very reasonable. I'm going to check give up on this board. Really good turn to bluff, but I just don't think this board is good enough for me. So I'm going to take any little bit of showdown that I might have, which I'm not going to have much, because he's usually going to bluff his worst hands. He's probably just going to have a low pair and just show it down. And he actually decides not to bluff 10 high, which is interesting. I didn't think I'd have much showdown. I thought I'd win maybe around 10%, but that was not a good spot to be bluffing, unless I'm going to bet twice. Just betting turn would be quite bad, as he can continue with a lot of hands once. Almost said something about hands I'm playing on the other screen, but you guys can't see that, so not sure that would be very relevant. Alright, may quit this quite soon. I think a few hands I've gone over have been quite decent, a few decent spots as well. Wasn't trying to make this a super long video. Gonna check call here. I think my hand has plenty of value in check calling. I'm at a severe range disadvantage, but my hand is quite good. So I think trying to bluff him off of something is not correct. Although if I bet, my hand would be used almost more for value. To his turn bet, I think a fold is fine. Flop a flush there with the nut flush redraw, so that's quite nice. I think I could go one of two ways here. I think I'm going to raise, as he can have a lot of hands that are looking to continue to raise, but versus some opponents, if I knew him better, I might just flat, as it is hard for him to have a value hand here. He will fold here at a decent percentage, but would like to stack his hands with equity, and I do have a very strong hand. Does fold. I think I would go both ways with that hand, but raising is obviously fine, as well as flatting. Alright, it's going to play until my blind's on every table, then call this video a wrap. Ranges are quite strong here. I don't think cold 4 betting is worth it, especially in Zoom when I have no dynamic with the players. Fold there is quite standard. Would be turning my ace-queen offsuit into a cold 4 bet bluff, some percentage. But not at those positions and not in a Zoom player pool, most likely. Alright. I have at least one more reasonable hand before I quit this session. I'm going to size up. Under the gun range is quite strong and wants to continue, as well as I'm out of position. Great flop, obviously. A lot of decent draws, as well as he could have ace-x a small percentage of the time when he defends. But he ended up having nothing, unfortunately. I'll actually play this Zoom until this table's done, so you don't have to watch mouth breathers go at it without knowing hole cards. Call 8s in position. Very standard. Not good enough to be 3-betting, but in position, fine to call. Hopefully we flop an 8. Pretty bad board, unfortunately. Gonna actually multi-way give up the flop. Not much playability. Our only backdoors are quite bad, and there is 2 overcards, so happy to take a free turn. Really bad turn. Now we're almost never ahead. And yeah, just fold. Unfortunately, never fun to fold. Pretty good flop. Does favor his range, but I'm going to start with a small value bet. When we get raised, we can go from there, but do have some decent backdoors. Definitely don't want to see a raise, as he can have a lot better here, but I do block a lot of his drawing type hands as well, so it would have him be more weighted towards value. Unfortunately, probably not going to be able to get the 1K stack. Unlucky. Treyway. You have to play Treyway. There's no ands, if, or buts. It's always free money. And I think this is a decent hand to be 3-betting with 2 button and cutoff opens, but that is too early position, so I'm just going to fold. Alright, Both tables are wrapping up now. Okay, it looks like this guy decided to sit out and absolutely fuck me, but I'm just going to quit anyway on the session. Thank you for watching. Not sure if I'm going to end up uploading this publicly or keep it within friends, but I may make more. We shall see. Thank you.